system as the Central Bank of Nigeria is wielding the big stick towards enforcing reforms. The CBN has set up interim management teams to oversee the affairs of Union, Keystone and Polaris banks. This follows the dissolution of their boards and management by the Apex Bank. According to a statement by Hakama Sidi Ali, the acting director of corporate communications of CBN, Yetunde Oni, has been appointed as the new managing director and chief executive officer of Union Bank, while Manero Ubali Ringim is to serve as the new executive director. For Keystone Bank, Hassan Imam is the new managing director and chief executive officer, while Chioma Mang is the new executive director. Polaris Bank has Lawal Mudathir Omokayode Akintola as the new managing director and chief executive officer, and Chris Onyeka Ofikulu as the new executive director. The appointments take immediate effect. Let me start with you, Asuko James. This is quite an interesting development, following the latest issues that happened around the banks. But then, what's your reading, regarding this latest development first?
Well, there were so many, after the report by the special investigator, Jim Obaze, they actually linked some of these banks, with some infractions, and this actually rattled those depositors in the banks. So I think the CBN is wisdom, and based on the Banks and Other Financial Institution Act, they needed to wield the big stick and follow the law. And because the CBN has the right, to dissolve boards and management of banks, based on the act. And so that's what they have done. This is just to restore confidence in the institution, and especially in the industry too, because so many fears have been out there, concerning whether those banks are even healthy. Somebody can say, okay, I bought a particular bank, or I have shares in a particular bank, but how healthy is that bank? And I'm not talking about healthy for now, but for the future. So if I'm investing in a bank, I want to believe that that bank should be able to, my investment is supposed to yield for a very longer time. So the CBN, in its wisdom, actually said, okay, fine, let's make sure that we bring back sanity, into that industry. And that is what they've been able to do, to reposition, these banks, after finding out that there were some minor infractions, left, right, center. In Union Bank, how it was bought by Titan Trust, Bank, as well as Keystone and Polaris Bank. So, who are the people there? We had to remove the boards and bring in new boards. So this interim management will be able to try and see how they can stabilize, the bank, those banks for a while, before they will be able to now say, okay, fine, all right, let's go ahead and do other things.
Dr. One of the questions people are also asking is that whether the federal government is trying to nationalize the bank. Is it something that's going to just remain what it is, or are they trying to, take over the banks to make it national?
I think the issues around nationalization going to be a different ballgame when we look at the issues that came up from the report of that special investigator. And my major concern is the fact that there have been counter positions by those who are involved in some of these infractions, saying we were not given a fair hearing. Yes, completely I agree that when an investigation is going on, you should make yourself available, no matter the situation. Even if you need, for whatever it is, to send a proxy who can present all the papers that are required. I think the time the investigator gave, in my own opinion, appears to be enough for anybody who has a major shareholding in a company to show up. It is not enough for the chairman of the bank to tell us that the major investors are all out of the country and they are ill. They can't attend to interrogation. But it is also dangerous for our system, for the former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, who is the one in the eye of the storm, to say that that report is faulty and he was never given up an opportunity to defend himself on how that process went. This can scare away investors. Because if we are taking over a bank in which some people have put in money, and we are taking over their shareholding, we must be seen to have come clean in all of this. We should have been able to say, okay, Nigeria, because the federal government. Yes, the federal government. The federal government. I'm talking about the investigator now who did this job should be seen to have no fault at all, because these are the little things that people will be paying attention to. Somebody took in money there, but because we are looking at the faults of one man, we are seizing their investment. I agree, we need to look at it all. If there is any infraction, we take it over. But it is not enough to take it over without getting declared that what we have done, everybody has seen us to be fair. Even the members of the board of the CBN said they didn't respond to any of those things because they were not invited. Same thing with the suspended governor who is undergoing trial now. That is where my own concern lies, because whether a bank is national or not, we have found out that Nigerians will always bank somehow. That's why you have all these other banks, the small ones that are just
springing up.
Springing up because they are providing the services Nigerians want, and not the complication of taking over banks and then there are issues around it. We must avoid all of those. I agree completely. These things must be probed, because what we went through, especially in the last 1 year of the Emefiele administration in CBN, no Nigerian will forget. So we must hold him to that. He must be held accountable. But at the same time, we should let the process be plain and open.
I hope your mic is good now, Asuko. Before we change tack, your final thoughts on this. Nigerians want to see, stakeholders want to see, investors want to see that the process is clean, just like Dotun has already, posited. What would you like to say in terms of this? Maybe the federal government should tread carefully and ensure that the process is really, must be seen to have been very, very transparent.
Yeah, I think that is what the federal government wants to do, because if not, they won't even have gotten a special investigator, to go ahead and begin to look at the books in these banks, So, just like I said earlier, I think I had issues with my mic. So just like I said, we need to bring back that sanity into the banking industry. Because if we don't do that, those who even want to come and invest in the country will lose confidence. So the federal government must do everything possible, humanly possible, to make sure that those banks the confidence is not eroded in any way, and make sure that those who are found culpable are also face persecution if possible.
That's right.
But for now, what we want to see is, let us make sure that all those who they've said, okay, they've stolen the money or they've done one thing or the other, let them begin to come out, and then we'll see them one after the other being prosecuted one way or the other. So that if I'm going to invest in a bank, I know that my investment is safe.
Right, let's change tack by, looking at this next issue, where the new year, really, 2024 came with a slogan, no grief for anybody. And these are